Hello, let's talk about two kettlebell clean and jerk here. I want to run over the methods of the movement and the technique of the movement and why we're going to emphasize certain elements. So the clean and jerk with two kettlebells is a wonderful way to get a whole bunch of work done. And the essential idea is that you're doing this work almost completely with your hips, both the clean and the jerk. So let's look at particulars here. For the clean, I need to establish a nice solid hip drive, and that swing that I just did, the bells were plenty high. I already had enough power for the clean portion of the movement. They were plenty high. If anything, they were actually a little bit too high already. Has to come from your hips. If you fail to have that strong initial hip drive, you're going to end up in a little bit of a wrestling match and you'll invariably get slugged in the shoulder. So, which would look like this, right? Here I'm doing it without good hip drive, just kind of pulling this up with my arms, and you get hit in the shoulder. So one kind of rule of thumb on this movement, the kettlebell clean, either with one hand or two, if you're getting hit in the shoulder, you're doing it wrong, and you're pulling with your arm too much. Just kind of a rule of thumb on that one. So the fix is drive out of your hips. Get the power from your hips. So once you have that initial hip drive, boom. I need to fix this problem that the bells are too far away from me. I don't want to receive them from here on my shoulders because that involves this long arc that's going to, again, hit me in the shoulder, which gets old. I'm already tired of that. So what we're going to do is drive up with the hips, and immediately your hips come to full extension, you're going to shrug and use this shrug action to pull this arc in closer, and you'll end up with a... Now I have the bells up at shoulder height and they're floating right here about chest level. I've already done all of the work of the clean and I have them almost in their final position. It may look to you like I'm pulling with my shoulders at that point, like lifting or pulling. It's not the case. Watch again, and I'll actually let go at the top, completely let go, as just kind of a way to demonstrate, like I'm not lifting them there. The lifting has already happened and it came from the hips. In fact, the handles of the bell feel like they're pushing on me a little bit. What you are doing with your arms at this point is getting them out of the way a little bit, right? So we've driven the bells up, we've got them floating in pretty good proximity, pretty close proximity to your chest, to your shoulders. And now we have the last step is to slip under and receive these things on your shoulders, which looks like, so watch my shoulders as I come up. You're going to see a strong shrug, which again pulls these bells up a little bit, mostly in toward me. And there's a couple of features of this now. The swing isn't so far out. The bells are staying closer into me as they come up. And they're landing, or I'm receiving them on my shoulders fairly gently. It's not a big thump. It doesn't hurt. It's not a big deal there. Okay, so the next step, once you have them up here, is to have a nice compact rack position, and that mostly involves pulling these upper arms, both of them, in it tight against your ribs, and then your hands come in close. So this is a real kind of compact support position here with the bells resting through your arm, but almost directly on your rib cage. And from this nice solid rack position, I now can dip and drive from my hips again and start to get the strong initial drive for the jerk. So the jerk I want to do as much with my hips as I can. Dip, drive. Very little pressing going on there. And if you hold your rack position a little bit too open, you're going to have this kind of squishy loss of connection through your shoulder, and your shoulders will get tired fast and you just won't be as athletic with this motion. Pull this in tight, dip and drive, and notice how much I'm getting this long, strong push up from my hips, through my trunk, into my shoulders. I'm doing all of that and I haven't raised my arms at all yet. So again, it feels like you are launching those bells most of the way up with just your hips. At the top, if you just stand up straight, the bells will tend to flap a little when you hit that full extension, and they'll thump on your forearm again, and that doesn't feel as good. So dip, drive these bells up, and as you approach lockout, you are sinking under them just a little bit. And that helps you control the impact here on your forearm. And then, of course, like any jerk or push press, we need to stand all the way up to finish the motion. So standing up to finish the motion. Now the last bit is bringing this back down. I'm going to pull these bells right back into a nice tight rack position. And you heard a sharp exhale there because I literally drove my upper arms in onto my ribs and absorbed that impact with my whole body. You're trying not to work too hard on the way down, right? So all of this is the same theme. I'm trying to do as much of this as I can with my hips. On the clean, it's the initial drive. Then you reposition your feet, get this nice compact rack position, and from the hips again, dip, drive. And on the way down, pull that right back into my hips. All right, so hope this helps. Thanks.